Hermes, what's your favorite interpretation of yourself? Well, this seems to be a very popular question for us. Everyone wants to know what our favorite sculpture and artwork and representation of us is, but the thing is, we have to explain that interpretation works a little differently for us. Interpretation is not necessarily just simply the way someone has chosen to draw us, but it is the way that we show up in your mind. It is the way we interact with you. So my interpretation is a lot more than just simply how I've been drawn. To me, interpretation also entails human experience, senses, and imagination. It involves every single person who's ever thought of me, every single person who's ever had an idea of me, any single person who ever interacted with me, and every single story that's ever been written about me. Interpretations are much broader than just what exists. For me, as a god, it is that all representations that have ever existed, that will be, have been, or already are, in imagination or otherwise, is in my pool of picking. So this is always a tough question, because yes, I could say, oh, there's a specific person who has this certain version of me in their minds that I just absolutely adore. I love how they see me. But it wouldn't mean anything to most people. So, to give you the answer that I think a lot of people are wondering, I'm quite fond of my modern interpretations. To give a less existential answer, we get asked a lot if we like Epic the Musical, and I can't speak for everyone else, but I quite like mine. I like being relevant. It's nice. And I quite like how people interpret me. And I love that everybody makes me a twink. I think that's awesome. And I would like to continue seeing it. Hermes, what's your favorite way to spend your time? Free time, darling. What free time? My job's kind of full-time. But I suppose my favorite way to spend my time... I really like music. Quite a lot. I enjoy spending time with musicians as well. Definitely love when people play music for me. And I like going to new places. Take me somewhere you've never been and I'm guaranteed to have a good time. Aphrodite, how do you define love? How do I define love? Love is power. Love is currency. Love is how we all come together. Love is all. Love is everything that we are and everything that you need. It is the most important thing in the whole world. And I don't just say that because I'm a deity, and because I'm particularly a goddess of love. But I say it because it's true. And so it is, and so it shall be, as you all like to say. Alright, Loki. Give me your opinions on some of the other gods. Gods reign in here. I thought you'd never ask me anything interesting. And I really shouldn't, but I will. Freyr can be stuck up. Odin even more so. Zeus even more so than Odin. Hermes runs his mouth a lot, but he's a good gossip. Aphrodite is beautiful, but loves herself so much, and I find that unbearable. And, Thanatos is too quiet. Fenrir is great when he's not trying to bite your head off. Thor is Thor. That's all I'm going to say. And, looks like I'm done. Why didn't I mention the kemetics? I'm not stupid. I'm not going after them. More trouble than it's worth. Icarus, can you introduce yourself officially? Does it ever get easier? Like, will I get better at this? Okay. Am I doing okay? Okay. Yeah. All right. Hello? I'm Icarus. I am a spirit. I am a spirit born from a story, which makes me different than a deity, but not really that different. I have less influence than deities do, but you can still talk to me. And I won't, I will always lend an ear if anyone needs one. And, I really don't know why you invited me here. I don't have much to say. I'm glad you like hanging out with me, Rain, but I don't know if I'm suited for this. I don't think my story is sad, necessarily. I really enjoy the ways that it has been interpreted in modern day. And I like that there is a melancholy side to the story, and the way that it has been told to warn humans of hubris and the inevitability of failure at times. Really, the lack of ability to deny fate is really what my story is about. And yes, it's often used as a way to heed warnings, but in truth, I think my story is more about the inevitability of everything, and that you can't run from what you're meant to be doing. Is this making sense? Let me try again. Maybe we take a break? Let's take a break. You need a break, Rain. Lilith, you're known for being an incredible source of wisdom for reclaiming one's power. Can you give the people watching some advice on this? Of course, darling. If I may. Power. Every man's desire, or so they want you to think. And every woman's loss, or so they want you to think. The secret to owning one's personal power is that power cannot be taken. It can only be given. You can only give away your power. No one can take it from you. And when you are ready to step into that power, you simply reclaim it. If you have given it away, you simply reclaim it. And if you are just learning how to step into your power, well, my dear, might I say, I am here to help. But embracing one's own power really just means becoming so starkly defendant of the person that you are that you will not take a single ounce of shit. It means that you will not let a single person into your space unless they worship the goddess or god that you are. It means you accept nothing less than what you deserve. To be in a state of power means to be in a state of unshakability, in a state of knowing oneself so deeply you would never let someone tell you who you are or what you should do. Personal power really is just an act of knowing oneself and not taking no for an answer. So in conclusion, if you're looking to regain your power, stop settling for less. Stop settling, my dear. You deserve better. Isis, you are known for being a goddess of many things, and among them, motherhood. Can you expand on what motherhood is to you? First of all, I would like it to be known that being a mother is an archetype. It is not one that is separated by gender, or by role, or by even having children. To be a mother is to take on the archetype of care. To be a mother is to take on the role of someone who carries such a tenderness within themselves. Motherhood is more than just simply birthing. Motherhood is taking it upon oneself to care enough to nurture something or someone into a being who grows from love and not from shame, not from fear. To be a true mother, you just need to care. You just need to care. That is all it requires. That is all. Hermes, you mentioned in our last question, emotions are how deities communicate. Can you elaborate on that? Of course I can, love. So, emotions. They are a charge. They are a charge you carry in your body as a human. And for us deities, they are also a charge we carry in our bodies. Although, again, I would like to remind you all that our bodies don't work the same way as humans, yada, yada, yada. It's really complicated. It's contradictory in human terms. We're not going to worry about it, okay? So let's move on to emotions. Emotions are charge, and emotions are power. What this means is that suppression of emotions is the way that people will trick you into suppressing your power. Because not only are emotions the way that you communicate your truest feelings out into the world, but it is also the way that we as deities communicate our feelings out into the world. And if you have blocked off certain parts of your emotions, then it is an emotion we can no longer communicate to you in. And emotions are the common thread between deities and humans. It is something that we both experience. Now, of course, as deities, we experience emotions very differently because, two things. First, a lot of human emotions are rooted in your body. So a feeling like disgust is very rooted in repulsive, rejectory feelings of the body not wanting something, around it, consuming it, whatever it is. Whatever. It's like a very human, visceral reaction, right? We don't have that. We do not have those kind of feelings. Now, the exception to this rule is sexual energy, because sexual energy is, in fact, an incredibly powerful force, and so, of course, we all possess it. It is a primary divine energy of exchange and union, so it's very important to our existence and in our work, and therefore it is the exception. The only difference is that, unlike humans, where it's very rooted in procreation and can feel like an urge that you cannot resist, for us it is always very intentional, and it is always premeditated. It's not something that would ever be, so overwhelming that we can't resist acting on it. It's always intentional because we don't have bodies with this urge to procreate like that. Although there's many myths about that for us, and honestly, it's probably because we do enjoy sexual energy exchange. I don't know if we can post this on TikTok. I'm sorry, Rain, but it's just kind of nice, and it works well. The other part of it, all forms of perceiving the divine are filtered by interpretation, especially this one. And that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing at all. Interpretation is how we become more complex, interesting, and successful guides. It is how we integrate with the mortal realm. And so it is not a problem to interpret because there is no true interpretation. The only type of interpretation of energy that is purely us, undeterred by human interpretation, unfiltered at all, is how we make you feel, because you can't force yourself to feel anything. When you experience us, the most pure version of connecting with us you can experience is our emotions, and yours. That's our bridge, as I said earlier. Everything else is colored by interpretation, and again, this is okay. This is actually awesome and by design, because when you interpret me, whether you're seeing me, or you're hearing me, or you are forming a relationship with me, this grounds me in tangibility, because being filtered through your human lens allows you to connect with me in a more human way, therefore bringing me closer to you. The interpretation is for you, which is why, for us, it really doesn't matter too much how you see us, as long as you recognize that it is us and you allow us to come through as we are. This is why we ask you not to try to control it. It's why we ask you to be open to us, that we can show you, but it takes different form for everybody. And I love that. I think it's amazing. It is so beautiful for me to be interpreted in so many different ways, and yet they're all 100% me because it all carries my energy. So emotions are crucial, and make sure you never, ever, ever block your emotions. If you're having trouble connecting with us, it's likely that you have blocked certain parts of your heart. And we are beings of pure love. So if your heart is blocked, you will not be able to hear us. Frey, your mythology states that you gave up your sword to win over your wife, Gerd. Now, they also say that this led to your downfall in Ragnarok, so my question for you is, do you regret it? No, absolutely not. I would never regret that decision. When I saw Gerd for the first time, truly, the mythology, I think, really does it justice. It felt like, suddenly, nothing in my life had purpose without her. Not because of anything superficial like obsession, or fixation, or possession, but because for the first time, I realized a crucial fragment of my identity rested in her. I realized that to exist as Frey without her would not be complete. I would not be fully myself because I was made to have her by my side. And in that way, the way they describe me, absolutely pathetic and desolate, really is not that far off of how I felt. Because if I could not have her, then what was the point? What was the point of it all becoming what I was, if I could not have that final piece that gave my life meaning? And what is the point of having a sword if you have no one to fight for? Sure, I have my family, but no one I would defend as vehemently as I would defend my wife. She gave me a whole new capacity to care for another that I had never known before. I love my sister, but not like that. Not even close. Familial bonds are beautiful, and there really is no hierarchy between them and a loved one in a romantic way, but no, I would never change it. If meeting my true soulmate, although obviously that word doesn't hold the same meaning for us as deities, but truly, if meeting my wife meant that I would perish in battle one day, then I say, so be it. So be it. I feel there is no forever for anything, even gods. So if I am to perish one day, I want to make sure that the days before it, I'm truly living. And my wife makes it so. She makes every day a blessing. So no, I would not do anything differently. And yes, I'm very satisfied with the choice that I made. I stand by it. Anubis, what do you think is a common mistake when beginners start shadow work? I think the most common misconception in shadow work is that we are trying to eradicate any undesirable traits, which sounds strange because a lot of people get into shadow work understanding that it's about integration, but somewhere along the way, they take it as a way to see traits that they deem undesirable face to face so that they can finally eradicate them. And that is never the goal. You cannot eradicate who you are. And in fact, there's no need to do so. The core is every human possesses light and dark. There is no human that does not. Even the brightest souls often have some of the darkest shadows. They simply have learned how to integrate them, such that they do not control them. And this is what shadow work is actually about. It's about bringing the subconscious into the conscious, such that you can observe it. And once it is observed, there is no more problem. It can only control you when you're not aware of it. So when we talk about shadow work, what we're really talking about is gaining control over the self through awareness. Once you are aware of what triggers you and why it triggers you, it is much harder for it to have power over you. And if I may, you, person watching this video, I know you've been going through it and struggling, but that does not give yourself an excuse to beat yourself down when you're already down. If you are having a hard time, the solution does not lie in picking apart everything that you've done wrong to bring yourself here. The solution lies in acceptance, in allowing yourself space to struggle, and knowing that it will not be forever. Do what you can with what you have, and allow us to work through you and in your life in ways unseen to bring about miracles that you would never be able to ask for because you would never think to. Our support is not conditional on you being a perfect person. Our support is conditional on you trying. And this is not an excuse to burn yourself out. It is affirmation that if you so much as think that you wish to put the effort in, that still counts for something. It still does. Not having the energy to, but still wanting to, still counts for us. So take some pressure off yourself. We are not as heartless as certain mythologies paint us out to be. And look in the dark with open eyes, friend. No, you will not be able to see in the way that you used to, but you will find a new way to navigate, and that in itself is valuable. Thanks for having me, Rain. It's been a real delight. Medusa, what is your take on reclaiming personal power? Well, first and foremost, dear. Sorry, let me settle in a little more. Well, my first piece of advice is don't give it away. Don't give other people your energy. My second piece of advice would be don't become the victim. Take autonomy wherever you can. The victim is a role. It is a story, one that others may assign to you or you may assign to yourself, but it is very hard to feel powerful in the role of a victim. So release that. You do not have to be a victim, even if other people see you that way. You don't have to see yourself that way. There's a lot more power in gaining your autonomy. Now, furthermore, my other piece of advice would be don't shy away from conflict. There is much power to be taken in aversion to confrontation. Confrontation challenges you. Confrontation is somebody stepping on your soul. So when you rise to it, you increase your amount of personal power. This does not mean become argumentative. Not at all. This means to become sternly resolute in how you approach contradiction and confrontation in a way where you are incredibly grounded and stable, where it does not cause you to become angry, because power can be found in rage, but only if that rage is controlled. So to this I say, rewrite your story. Rewrite your story in a way where you feel truly powerful. Not in a way that other people might see it, but in a way that benefits you. Ask yourself today, how can I rewrite my own story to become something more than other people may see me as? That's my advice.